And hello, welcome to Uptown Tonight. Oh, it is the end of August, August 23rd. And it's warm out and muggy out and everything else. And a little different from last week. Last week it was kind of cold and it got me a little worried for a moment. Right. I'm like, what happened to summer? Is summer going to be gone? Right. But today we got Travis in the house. Oh my gosh.
How you doing, brother?
It's been a while.
It has been a minute, man.
We've talked, well, I know other people have talked to me about having you on many, many times, and we finally just connected over at the car show again.
And here we are.
Yes.
And it is my honor. I'm so honored to be a guest. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's great having you in here. So I know this is going to be a really cool conversation tonight. But I am your host, Mr. Wayne Stollenfacher, and let's see, we are Uptown Tonight Podcast, where we believe that a rising tide does raise all ships, and we are here trying to raise that tide, basically showing off all the entertainers in the FM area and all that. And I know Travis does the same thing out there, so this is just really nice to collaborate a little bit.
Brother, I love what you're doing here, man. I've heard nothing but great things about Uptown and your podcast here, so I'm honored to be here.
Well, that's great.
Thanks for having me.
That's great as well. But first, we got to talk about me right away, because I'm boring. We just got to get past that part. So, last weekend, oh yeah, that's right, we have old Junior there with Cito, and Cito's helping us sell our Uptown merch.
Oh, sure.
The next time we are in town, I believe in a few weeks, and well, I'm sure we're back at the
I need me one of those.
Yes.
I need me an Uptown shirt. Those are fancy, especially. They seem like they attract hugs.
Well, they do.
And
just like Junior there. He doesn't even have a head. And he gets hugged all the time. And then there's all zebras.
Aww.
He definitely doesn't look like that anymore, and that couch doesn't look like that anymore.
Is that the dog that I just saw upstairs?
It is.
Holy cow.
From a year and a half ago. Yes.
That's a big boy.
Yep.
Handsome guy, though.
And there he is saying support our troops. Yes, I'm a little biased since my son is in the military and in South Korea at the moment. But,
hey, God bless your son. Absolutely.
And he just passed his, what do they call that? Panels, something like that.
Okay.
And now he's a sergeant.
Hey.
I'm like, whew.
All
growing
right.
up in the world.
Making our way up in the world. Fantastic.
And we always make fun of him as the sloth child because that's what he was. And I was so happy when he said he was going to the military just because I know they weren't going to let him be a sloth anymore. But last weekend, where was this? This was in Roseholt, South Dakota.
Oh, okay.
Basically, we had two different trailers there. I got the top one all to myself. I wouldn't let anybody else up there.
Wow.
So I got a little photo of that. And I might have a little video of that here as well. Let's find out. Oh, no. This is from the night before at the windbreak. I actually got to rent out my drum kit. They had the Travis Tritt.
Windbreak always is a good venue to play. Always so much fun.
And this drummer was on top of it. He was really good. I think his name is Jesse. I don't know the name of the band itself, but it's a Travis Tritt tribute.
Okay.
And then they just played some regular covers after that whole show. So that's what it was, and I got to actually hear my drums being played.
How did that feel?
It was
being on the other side of your drums. How
did
that feel?
Interesting, actually seeing or hearing what they're producing.
Yeah.
When you're a drummer, you're back there, and you're just going off of what everyone else tells you. Yeah, it sounds great, and you have no idea.
You kind of felt like a proud papa, though, going, that's my kid.
That was.
This is what people see. This is what they hear. I'm kind of proud of this.
It was. It had the Uptown logo all night for us, and we weren't even up there. But
nothing wrong with a little brand recognition.
Excellent. Well, let's get to Travis.
Yeah.
We got to know a little bit more about you. I was like, where'd you come from? Where'd everything happen? How?
Oh, man. I tell you what. Well, I grew up in Jamestown, North Dakota.
Jamestown,
North Dakota. I'm a Blue Jay. Yeah, I'm a Blue Jay. Although I didn't really, get into sports too terribly much or anything. But I was that kid, man, that I grew up to the hair bands. MTV is what sold me, and that's where I just went down this entire journey and path in life going, I want to be that. These guys with long hair are having fun playing music. They got girls in their videos. They've got lots of money. They're having fun. I need to do that. Boy, was I in for a surprise on how much work and what it actually takes to get there. But I was ready to do it. I was ready for it.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, that's what started it for me. That's where it came from. You could thank, or you can say, you can blame too. Bands like Poison was one of them. Warrant, all those guys. Those were the guys.
We're talking late 80s.
Yeah,
so that was my jam too. So we're probably really close in age.
Late 80s. A lot of people pick on me because they're like, "Oh man, you came in the crappy end of the era." I'm like, "What? That was my stuff right there."
No kidding. What are you talking about?
That was where I I got the girls because of the bands I listened to, man. You guys were too busy being angry listening to the early stuff, man. I'm like, my era got the girls, man. That's why I wanted to get into it.
Oh, exactly. So did you live in Jamestown all your life then?
I lived in Jamestown all my life, absolutely.
Okay.
Born and raised on a reservation. Well, born on a reservation, Fort Yates, North Dakota, I was born. But that was short-lived. We moved to Jamestown from there. And, I was raised my entire life there, spent childhood, high school years, all that sort of jazz there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what got you started in music in the first place? I know you're musically inclined
Right.
in certain things. I saw a few things, because my whole shtick here is that I try not to know anything about who people are when they come in, just so
Right.
I get to learn who you are along with the audience out there. So.
Well, you're a drummer, right?
Yes.
Did you spend your childhood or your high school, like, air drumming to music and doing things like that? I was the air drummer. Like I said, I grew up to these bands on MTV, and I was like, I like the drums. My dad was a drummer. My grandpa played saxophone, and in fact, he even played some shows with the Lawrence Welk Show.
Oh, excellent.
And
that's cool.
And so then he raised, my dad to be a musician who was a drummer. As I grew up, I found Dad's old drum kit in the closet. I asked Mom, can you dig that thing out, put it up in my room? We lived in an apartment building, mind you. But I asked her to still put this thing up. I just
Nice.
wanted to look at it.
What age was this?
Ooh, that had to be about 10 years old.
10?
10 years old.
Nice.
And
That's cool.
she put it up, and so then we kind of, I started playing. Wasn't getting any complaints from the neighbors in the building, so I started playing. I stared playing along to, like, Eye of the Tiger.
Oh,
It
yes.
was one of the first songs I can remember. It was very
Survivor.
simple until you get older and you find out, there's more to it.
Yep.
But the basic beat was pretty simple for a kid to kind of track to and get moving and get started. So that was one of the first songs I remember learning how to play drums. And then as soon as I played it for, like, my mom and my dad, I remember my dad going, "You did that by yourself? You learned how to play that song by yourself?" Seeing him so proud of me for learning how to play the drums and learning how to play that song by myself, just by ear, showed me that there's another element. There's another excitement to playing music. Not only do I maybe get to live the dream like I'm seeing on TV here, but I got my family proud of me too for doing something, you know?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. So that's where it started for me. And from there, I, started a band in high school. Some of us could play, some of us couldn't.
That's awesome.
But it was just about being in a band together and taking another step in that journey I knew I was heading down. And playing in a band in high school, do some street gigs. In Jamestown there, they just had street fairs.
Yeah.
And so you get, like you do here, you get set up on a back of a semi-trailer and you play some cover songs. But to me, that was like being a rock star right there. I mean, these are people who had never seen me play before. All of a sudden, there's a group of people there cheering on, a Warrant song or a Motley Crue song, but I'm the one playing drums, and I'm excited, and I get to be a part of something. I get to perform, and so that's where all of it really kind of started, was just very basic and very simple as a kid, learning drums, watching music videos on MTV, and playing with his high school band. It all started right there for me.
So that's great. Do you remember the name of the high school band?
We went with, and I don't know why, it just grabbed me at the time, but we went with Madison.
Madison. That's straight and simple. That's actually really good.
And I think the reason why is because I could really get unique with the wording, like how you write. All the bands had great fonts, and
Yes.
they had great lettering. Poison with the Q, and I mean just the way that they wrote their names. I needed something that I could do something creative with, and I went with Madison. Didn't even think of Madison, Wisconsin. None of those things. I just went with Madison. Lo and behold, years later, the guy that was the singer in my band, his first kid's name, Madison.
Oh, nice.
His wife chose that
Little
name.
tribute.
Yeah, his wife chose that name. Didn't even know that we had a band named Madison back in high school. So it was kind of funny how that worked out. Yeah. So that's where it all started for me. Yeah, playing high school.
Great. Now, you guys just played together the entire time through high school, or do you have iterations of all that? Or?
Right. Well, two of us could actually play full songs, a numerous amount of songs. The bass player and I took it serious.
Gotcha.
The other two,
Bass player?
Yeah, the bass player and I took it serious in learning music. However, the guitar player couldn't get through the solo parts. Not dissing him, because I love the memories, had so much fun. But his level of talent at that time was, I can play the riffs, but man, as soon as we get to those solos, that's where I'm out. So a lot of our music, a lot of our songs we got to was up to the guitar solo, and then we had to stop until we found another guitar player to join the band. Now we got somebody that can do the solos, and we can actually get through more songs. You know what I mean? So then the next level right there.
Yeah, gotcha. It's late 80s. That's all about the guitar solo.
Right.
That's
and our singer, pretty boy, he's a pretty boy in high school, got all the girls. So he brought the girls. That's what singers did back then. They brought the girls. Maybe couldn't sing the best, but he just brought the girls to the show, and the bass player and I were all about performing and being locked in and learning the song and watch what I can do and things like. So it had that dynamic like your normal bands did. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So where'd that launch you into after that then? As you graduated, then what happened?
Right. Well, I knew that if I was going to ever actually have an opportunity to be in a band that was going to be on the radio, play bigger gigs, do bigger shows, I knew that I couldn't be in Jamestown, and I knew it couldn't be with this band. But I also knew I needed to step up my talent. So I auditioned my junior year of high school for McNally Smith School of Music down in Minneapolis.
McNally, yes.
And I got accepted. And so after I was done with high school, I went down there and went to school for a couple of years and got into bands down there. And the musicianship with the players down there was just next level.
Oh, yeah. You get out of this bubble up here. It's like, what's going on?
So got the band down there, traveled the Midwest, doing more covers, started writing some originals. And then I got an offer to take a look at going to New York or L.A.
Oh, wow.
And my cousin at the time actually was singing backup for Robbie Robertson of the band. And she goes, you need to come to New York City and meet these people. She was an actress, a model, and a singer. And she was working with Robbie Robertson, and she already knew people. I always had my eye on L.A. because the bands that I listened to, that's where they were from. Warren, the Sunset Strip bands.
Exactly.
That's where I thought I was supposed to go. But when you already kind of have a foot in the door with a relative who's been on the scene in New York, you're like, okay, I guess I'm going to New York.
So that's you got to go back to and check out an interview I did a few weeks ago at the Lana Jose. And she literally was in L.A. during that time when all that happened, when the punk bands came through and then the late 80s hair bands and everything. Great story.
Oh, I love that.
Great story.
That was my jam, man. That Sunset Strip, those bands. Oh, that's to the day I die, no matter what I do. Yeah, I got a country radio show right now, and I do a morning show that's kind of more pop-oriented. But my roots are rock and roll. My roots are those hair bands. I will live and die by the hairband sword. By the hairband sword, absolutely.
Yes. Well, that's beautiful. So did you go out to New York then? Or?
I did.
Okay.
I went out to New York. Great story. You got time for this?
We got time.
This is what happened my first week in New York City. So my mother and I took a trip out there. She wanted, as a mama bird, wanted to know what her son was going to get into. Her only child wanted to know what he was getting into. Wanted to have a part in helping me make sure I got my foundation set there. So I looked for a job while we went out to visit, looked for a place to live, and I found those things, got all those things together. I'm like, great, I will be back here in a couple of weeks. This is where I will live. This is where I will work. I move out to Halloween night. Halloween night is my first night out in New York City, and I pull up to this place. This cab brings me into the place that I had arranged to live at. Before I get out, this is in Harlem. Didn't know this.
Okay.
I'm up in Harlem. The guy goes, do you want me to wait here? I'm like, no. This is where I'm going to be living. I'll take my stuff. I'll go. This is it. Do you know where you're at? And I'm like, well, New York. He goes, this is Harlem, kid. And I go, okay, well, I live right there. I'll be fine. And so I grab my stuff. He drives away very slowly, and I'm just kind of looking like, well, that's odd. I get to the door of the place I'm supposed to live. I knock on the door. They're looking out and yelling at me through the door going, who are you? And I go, yeah, hi, my name's Travis. I've arranged to live here. I sent you my deposit, my first month's rent. I don't know what you're talking about, kid. We don't have any of your money, but you better get off my doorstep. And I went, what? And so I walked off the doorstep back onto the sidewalk. This is Harlem. So cars are not driving through Harlem late at night when it's dark. There's not people walking the streets of Harlem. If they are, it's more of a populated area, but a guy like me don't want to be walking alone in Harlem. That cab came back around. He goes, need a lift? And I go, yeah, how did you know? And he goes, I had a feeling. So he took me back to the hotel I had stayed in New York when I visited with my mom. This thing didn't have a bathroom. My room window looked out at a brick wall, just like on TV. No bathroom, looked out at a brick wall, had to go down the hallway to use the bathroom. Go down to the payphone at that time, call my mom, and I go, I don't have a place to live. And I go, here's what just happened. She goes, oh, no. As scared and terrified as I was more scared of, if I leave, how am I going to get back to New York?
Yeah.
Is this my missed opportunity if I have to leave? And so I called up my cousin Samantha. I even walked to the bar that she worked at. Lo and behold, the night before, she quit. So she no longer worked there. But the staff remembered me from when I went there to visit. Yeah. The staff remembered me when I was there a couple of weeks beforehand to visit. So they're like, she quit, but here's her number. Here's where she might be at. So I called and left a voicemail, went back up to the hotel and was like, this is all I can do tonight. I've left a voicemail. I've got a room. I probably have enough money in my bank account for 2 more nights. Then it's time to come home. She calls me the next morning and goes, I got a place for you to stay. It's over in Brooklyn. It's a friend that's going to let you stay there until you find a place to live. I found a place to live in Manhattan in 1 week. That doesn't happen. There are people who go there and go, I had never could find a place in Manhattan that I could afford. Somebody was watching. I had some guardian angels watching.
It was
watching
meant to be.
Because I found a place to live in Manhattan a week later, could start my job, and away we went. And I felt like life was saying, you got to really want this, because these are some of the challenges that you're going to be facing now, all by yourself. Here's a little taste test. So really want this, kid, because now life begins. And that was my first week in New York City.
That's a very mature way of thinking about it, too.
I was terrified. I didn't want to leave.
Yeah.
I'm like, I really want to play music. I really want to do these things. If I have to move or I have to leave, that might be the end of it. Then I don't know what I'm going to do. And I was a little concerned about emotionally, mentally, how am I going to handle that if I can't be here? So I made it happen. I was willing to sacrifice and go through whatever I needed to do to make sure that I was going to stay planted in New York City and live. So I started working at the Hard Rock Cafe. Had a nice apartment down in Manhattan with 2 really cool roommates, and it just started off beautifully after that first rough week. So,
well, that's good.
Yeah, made it happen. Within the year now, this is where it gets really, really interesting. Within a year, I became the live music coordinator of the Hard Rock Cafe in New York City.
Oh, okay. I've actually been there.
Yeah, and how that happened is I was in a band, and I went to my GM and I go, what do I got to do to get my band to play here? What is it that we need to do? And he goes, I tell you what, we haven't had live music here in a while. Why don't you get a couple of other bands, make a night of it, tell your friends, let's see if we can get a good crowd in here. If it goes well, we'll start doing this. Well, I wanted to show him that you've made the right decision. So I went out and got 2 more bands. I told them, tell everybody you know, and then tell them to tell everybody they know. The day of the show, I'm there doing sound check, load in. My general manager comes up to me that morning and goes, come here, I need to talk to you.
Uh-oh.
I'm like, uh-oh. He goes, we have about a dozen interviews set up this afternoon with press here in New York City who have heard Hard Rock Cafe is starting their live music program again. And he goes, you need to sit in on those interviews because I've never done this before as long as I've been the general manager. You obviously got the attention because now we got a dozen interviews. So I'm going in, sound checking my drums. Then after 10 minutes of doing that, I'm coming back down. I'm sitting at the table with my general manager. And at the time, I'm 20 years old. And I'm sitting there with my general manager doing interviews with VH1. I mean, all the big press there in New York City. Hard Rock Cafe, you're starting live music again. What was the story behind that? And I looked at him and he goes, tell the truth. And I told him what I did. And I go, and the word got out. And here we are. Sold out night. The next morning, I come to work after a great night of live music, 3 bands, sold out, did all these interviews, feeling high as a kite. Come the next day, my general manager goes, we need to talk. Come here. I go, oh, no, now what? And so I go into his office. Nobody gets to go into his office down in the basement of the Hard Rock Cafe, unless it's a serious discussion. So he brings me downstairs to have this discussion, and he goes, read this email. And I read it in an email, and it's from corporate in Orlando, Florida, who had heard about the night being sold out, saw the interviews in the press up in New York City, saw how much the bar had made in liquor sales that night, and said, you're starting the live music program again. However this happened, we need to keep this moving forward. Who's responsible for this? The general manager goes, well, that would be Travis, and here's how that happened. That's how I became the live music coordinator. So all of a sudden, here I am by day. I'm working in the kitchen at the Hard Rock flipping burgers at night. I'm getting ready. I'm going out on the town, and I'm looking for bands. Because I'm like, we got to fill this place. We got to keep the momentum going. We're going to be booking Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights. I have no bands. I have no artists. I got to go find some. And my general manager's like, just make sure they have a following. Make sure that they're making us money, because we got to pay the sound crew over here. We got to make sure that our staff is making money. Let's do some door. So that's where I all of a sudden learned the behind the scenes aspects of being in the music industry. No longer was I the guy trying to get a gig. I was now the guy responsible of helping you get a gig here in the Hard Rock Cafe in New York City. I was getting people who were on the Real World trying to do live music, Road Rules, all these reality shows.
Oh, during that time? Wow, okay.
The Strokes.
The Strokes,
were
yeah.
one of the first bands I booked. Brought me 3 people.
Dude.
3 people they brought.
3?
3. Another band that did really well, Glassjaw, was a metal band. Brought a handful of people. Another band was Raw. They were big in the early 2000s, kind of around the same time as maybe Nickelback or something like that. But Raw had a big first album. They were one of my favorites that I like to book. They didn't bring a good crowd, but man, they were a great band. And Raw went on to get a record deal, do some stuff, and so I ended up booking bands who just went on to be huge. But when they played for the Hard Rock Cafe, it brought me like 3 or 4 people. It was just absolutely amazing. But it's such a great story to tell the grandkids that I don't have.
But you helped them get their start. So booking these bands, were they mostly, you're talking about original bands.
Yeah.
Were they doing covers as well, or is this just...
It was all originals.
Really?
And, these were bands that all of a sudden I became very critical of, because now I'm getting not only the musician ear.
Yep.
I'm going, I want to hear a solid band. I want to hear a good band. I want you to keep the people who have paid money to eat food and drink here. I want to keep them here. Your music's got to be good enough that they don't leave. But at the same time, I also want to draw in a new crowd. So I became very critical, and I was using that musician ear to be like, you guys are a little sloppy. You're a little off-key. Your timing's a little this. Next, and all of a sudden I'm coming to my office every morning, stacks and stacks and stacks of press releases of bands that wanted to come in.
Of course.
Yeah. So it was just a really, really great life lesson. I went from touring and cover bands, being in my own band, to now booking bands at the Hard Rock Cafe. So you kind of see where my music career is growing here.
Full circle almost of everything, yeah.
21 years old this is at. Yeah, I was getting life lessons.
And just a young pup, yeah.
Really, really early on. Learning a lot of great stuff, though.
Oh, I bet.
But then it all came to a crashing halt.
Uh-oh.
9/11.
Oh, 9/11. You were out there during 9/11?
I was a kid during 9/11 out there, and this was...
Wow.
Everything was on fire. I had just done an episode of The Sopranos. I was on an episode of The Sopranos.
Seriously?
I was the Incredible Hulk
so cool.
on a Galt milk commercial. And by day, I was also playing in my band, opening up for CC DeVille Poison. I was booking shows for the Hard Rock Cafe. Everything is going tremendous.
Yeah.
And 9/11. And then all of a sudden, everything just shut down. Everything was done. No venues wanted to book bands. No bands wanted to play. The restaurant was suffering. We closed for 2 weeks. I mean, the whole entire town of Manhattan just shut down. And so now all of a sudden, I'm not making money. All the things that I loved came to a crashing halt with 9/11. No more acting gigs. And one of the last things that I did before this happened, and I was really excited about this, is there was an all-girl band from, I believe it was Sweden. They were called Drain, STH.
Okay.
And they had broke up, and I saw them on Ozfest. I had reconnected with the guitar player, went out and auditioned, and we clicked, and we were going to put a band together. And I'm going, I'm going to be in a band with a guitar player from Drain, STH. I mean, she did Ozfest. I saw her open up for White Zombie
Nice.
here, and now I'm going to be in a band with her. That was on the way. But as soon as 9/11 happened, the gigs stopped. The restaurant was suffering, had to start laying off people. No more acting gigs for a while. Production went down. She went back to Sweden. She didn't want to be in New York City anymore when that happened. Like, everything stopped. And from that point, my girlfriend and I at the time found out that we can't afford to be here anymore. We're living in my little closet-sized bedroom. From that point, it went from Manhattan down to kind of the upper part of Harlem. I had moved, and my bedroom, honestly, this size, maybe even a little smaller than this. Like, if you unfolded a futon, there was no way between the wall and the futon. So I had to fold it back up just to have a little path in my room. That's how small this place was. But she and I were living in there together because of 9/11. She lost her place. Her roommate moved. So we're staying in my little room here. I've got a roommate. His business is on hold right now. And we're like, the longer we stay here, the harder it's going to be for us to afford to be here. We got to take our resources and try and get somewhere where we can almost start over. And so we moved back to the Midwest. And I lived in Minneapolis for a little while with a friend, regrouped, made some money, and we headed out to LA. And finally I was going to get to be in LA.
Going from east to west.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
just coast to coast. But before we did that, we stopped in Vegas. And her twin sister lived in the area, and so we decided, hey, let's spend a year in Vegas. Let's see what Vegas has to offer. That was a terrible move. I mean, unless you're there enjoying what the Strip has, it's just another town. And you know, lived in Las Vegas for a little while. Again, food service, booking bands. And it was one of those that real quickly we were like, oh, we can't wait to get out of here. Now we got to put all our resources together to save money and get out of here because Vegas was not something that was treating us well.
Gotcha.
Got out to LA, much better. Started booking bands for the Malibu Inn, out there in Malibu, of course. Buck Cherry was one of the bands I got to book.
Nice.
For that show. Did bookings for another venue. I forget what it's called, but it was down in Long Beach, and there was much bigger bands. I mean, Insane Clown Posse. I'm booking them, and then at the end of the night, I don't know if you've ever seen an Insane Clown Posse show. But they basically,
I've heard of them.
The root beer. They spray root beer everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
And so I had to, while they're on stage, go out to my car, cover the back seat with garbage bags. Because after the show, I had to take one of the guys from the band, put him in my back seat, take him back to his hotel. But he was going to be drenched in root beer. And so that was one of the memories I have, is taking one of the Insane Clown Posse members back to his hotel, in my car, covered in garbage bags while he's covered in root beer. It made me thirsty for root beer, though. So I'm like,
well, there's a thing.
You didn't bring some with you, did you, by any chance? But yeah. So booking bands, and then I got back into some TV. One of my first gigs was being an extra on Gene Simmons' Family Jewels.
Oh, nice. My
also,
dad loved that show. I haven't yet to watch it, but I know that's one thing I'm just going to binge when I get into it. So I've been holding back.
Another show that I got to do was I also got to be on Charm School featuring the Rock of Love Girls.
Okay.
And so this episode is they took a bunch of Air U musicians and had them audition, and two groups of girls were going to put a band together. They were going to you know, put the right clothes on them, name the band, and get them a gig and things like that. And basically, the judges felt like whoever did a better job, that group of girls won. They got to have, you know, like maybe a pampering day, and then one of the losing team members was going to have to be voted out of the house. So I was actually in charge of finding the musicians. But lo and behold, that day, one of the drummers didn't show up. And so now there's only one drummer going, well, you can't have just one drummer because you automatically know that he's going to make it on one of the band and one of the groups.
Yeah.
You got to have two. So I went on there, but before I went on there, they're like, kind of suck, but when you play, don't act like you're proficient, and they just kind of stumble through it. So I stumbled through it, and my quick scene is me just kind of, and then it pans to one of the girls going, where's all the hot guys? I'm like, ouch! That was my scene on Charm School. Just acting like I couldn't play, and then having one of the girls going, where's the hot people? I'm like, oh, she gave me her number at the wrap-up party. And I'm like, okay, wait. So that tells you that reality TV isn't all what it's cracked up to be.
What?
You know, when they're telling, you know, they make it look like, oh, you're one of the ugly guys, but yet you're getting a phone number from the girl that actually said it at the wrap-up party. So I didn't feel too bad, but it's entertainment business, man. There's nothing like it. It's been a ride.
Oh my gosh, that is crazy though. Jeez, the miles in between there as well.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to wrap my head around it.
Oh, man. I've always been told I should write a book.
You probably should.
And there was a part of my life where I looked at Motley Crue, The Dirt, and I went, oh, yeah? I've got some stories. But now I'm at a point in my life where I'm going, no, I don't want to talk about those anymore. I've moved on.
Okay.
You know, that's not where I'm at. That's not where I want to be. That's not what I want to be known for. If I do write a book, or if I ever do share these stories, that's not what I want to be remembered for. That's not what I want people to know about. So I look at those and go, it was a time in my life. It was a growing process. We all have our young and dumb phase, and I definitely had that. But that's nothing anymore that I want to shine a light on anymore, you know? And certainly out of respect for my wife, you know? That's nothing that anybody needs to relive. We were all young and dumb, you know?
Oh, exactly.
We move on, we grow up, hopefully,
I'm just glad we didn't have TikTok. Oh, my God.
and cell phones.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Oh, my gosh.
We'd all be in jail.
Yeah.
Or something.
So hopefully down the road, you know, I still write a book, but it's going to be about, you know, what I've learned from some of those things in the young and dumb phases and all the wonderful things I got to do in life. And now what I'm doing with that here. I truly feel where I'm at in my life now is where all of that has come to the surface and provided me with, I guess you could say maybe the skills and the inspiration to do what I'm doing now.
Oh, I believe that, but what got you out of LA in the first place? Like, I'm guessing, I'm just speculating here that you came back here after LA, but
family.
Why? Family? So it's always family or a girl, yes.
Family. Mom and grandma getting older,
gotcha.
needing some backup, needing some support, could use a hand. And at that time, I was growing tired of LA. It's weird how every phase has always started at the bottom, and then there's a high, there's a peak. And then something happens, and you go right back down to the bottom, and now you're going, do I want to start over right back in the same place? Or do I want to start this journey in the next place? I'm living in LA. Before I left, I'm working with Phil Verone, drummer in Skid Row for a little while. And he was the drummer of Skid Row, Saigon Kick, played with Kiss. Well, anyway, he was doing a stand-up comedy show. He was trying to be a stand-up comedian. And he was hosting a show called Sex, Stand-Up, and Rock and Roll, which was a little bit of a live local band, some stand-up comedians, and even adult film stars coming in and being like your Vanna White at the show.
Okay.
And so we connected on, at that time, MySpace. Remember MySpace?
Oh, God, I remember MySpace. I think my stuff's still up there.
We connected on MySpace, and he invited me to the show. He goes, I'll put you on the list. So I went down there, saw it, and right away I'm like, I could do some stuff here. I used to book bands at the Hard Rock. I know a lot of people here in LA, as does he. I think we could do something pretty exciting with this. So I went to him and I go, I think I could lend some promotional marketing to your show and help grow this thing. He was interested, and I ended up becoming the drummer of the house band so that he could focus on emceeing and doing stand-up. And I actually got to play drums in the house band with some fantastic female musicians there in LA. And it was very Tonight Show, except it with songs that you would know, you know, and it would be like beautiful people starting out, bringing on a comedian, and then stopping when they get to the microphone to do their set. And a lot of the people were like, no, we don't care about the comedian. Keep the band going. I mean, we sounded pretty good. We were a pretty tight house band. And so this got so popular, we became one of the hottest tickets in Hollywood at the Hollywood Improv. We'd come down there on a Saturday night to do 2 shows, and the lines would be wrapped around the block of people trying to get in to see our show. We had up-and-coming comics like Chris D'Elia, Chris Porter. I mean, we were having LA Guns on stage to do an all-star jam. We would have up-and-coming bands that nobody heard of that was also playing the show. We had, again, adult film stars who were kind of acting as your Vanna White. And we were selling this thing out every Saturday night, and it got to the point that we were offered a show in Las Vegas to have our own show.
Back to Vegas.
In Vegas, 6 days, and I think 2 of the days we were going to have 2 shows. So then we thought about it and going, are we ready to do this? Do we think this is ready for Vegas? Do we think that this is going to bring enough people in, make enough money? We were having our doubts. And so instead of moving forward or adjusting, we just done.
Oh, serious?
Just done with the show. Done. Let's if it's meant to be, it'll come back around. Well, once the show was done, I'm going, I feel like I lost my purpose now. I've done everything I can do here in LA. I've played in bands. I've done acting. I did a house show comedy band. I've done promotion, marketing, booking bands. I've done all the things. I feel like my time here in LA is done. Well, at that same time, my mother has been reaching out to me going, we need some support here. We need some backup. Things are getting a little bit more difficult. I can't do this like I used to. I can't do that like I used to. And I went, okay, it's time to come home. But man, was I struggling with the decision of, is this what all those years in the entertainment business is going to come down to? Is me coming back, living with my mother at 35 years old in Jamestown, North Dakota, no job, and a bank account that was dwindling very quickly. I'm like, you're telling me I played on stage with rock stars and comedians and booking bands at the Hard Rock Cafe, and all of that has led to this? This is where it's going to end? I'm like, wow, that's a struggle, man. That's a hard pill to swallow. And I truly was concerned for my well-being as far as just mentally and emotionally. Like that's a hard pill to swallow. I really truly thought more was going to come out of this. I mean, I had experienced a record deal. I had experienced being on TV and movies, and not to sound like I had a big head, but you felt like that the direction always took you up the hill, up the mountain. But now all of a sudden you felt like, that's it. I'm done. I've done Vegas. I've done LA. I've done New York City. I'm coming back home now to do nothing. I mean, my family's worth it. I'll adjust. But really, that's the end of it. All the education in music and all the things I've done in entertainment, this is where it's going to end. Lo and behold, a cute little blonde crossed my path. And that cute little blonde is now my wife. And she
Excellent.
was the one that got me through times that could have probably been really, really hard and difficult. And I ended up moving to Fargo probably within a year. First show I decided to go out to at Fargo was LA Guns, reconnecting with LA Guns. Great friends with LA Guns. Did so much work with them in LA. They were playing at, I think it was the Pavilion or the Hub at the time. And so my wife and I are on our way there. And Moose from 107.9 The Fox is standing outside and goes, "Hey, man, are you excited to see the show? What's your name?" And so I told him, "Oh, yeah, my name's Travis. I just moved back from LA, and I used to work with the guys in LA Guns, so we're going to come see the show." And he goes, "We need to talk." And so that night we were, I'm sending shots over to him, and we're having a great conversation. Probably didn't spend much time really enjoying LA Guns because I'm over here talking to Moose from 107.9 The Fox. And from that, he goes, you gotta come and do some stuff on the station with us. So it started with doing some stuff on the weekends. Then it started with some evening stuff. Then I was offered the position to come and be promotions director for the entire radio group over there. Spent a lot of time learning radio promotion and marketing, and then finally got the opportunity to be afternoons on the Fox. And my first, I guess you could say they have rating seasons.
Yep.
My first rating season ended up being the number one afternoon DJ in Fargo. And I'm like, this is great. This is fantastic. Dad did a little radio on the reservation when he was alive, and now here I am dabbling in radio here in Fargo. And I really loved it.
It's just another aspect.
Yeah. And I'm like, here we go. This was not where I thought I would end up coming back to Fargo. I thought I'm going to be a 9-to-5 guy. I've got a girl. That this is going to be my life. I truly was done playing in bands too, and I actually have to give it up to guys like you who love playing music so much that you're willing to keep doing it night after night, night after night. I lost that love of wanting to pack up my drums, go rehearse, learn new songs, go set up at a gig, sound check, play gigs, play covers. I truly lost that love. I think I can do one song and go, yeah, that was fun, but now I'm done. I don't want to do this on weekends. I don't want this to be my life. And so I respect guys like you that truly love it so much that you're out there doing it and you're loving it. So
I can't give it up.
Big props to you guys for doing that. But radio was a new path for me. And I loved it. I loved what this was doing. And I had always been told the way I tell a story or the way I talk or the way I, connect with people, like, you should be in radio. I'd been hearing that for years. So finally here was the opportunity. And I was getting that opportunity through the Fox. And man, I have so much love for Robbie, Dave, and Moose because they truly taught me so much, helped me get my feet wet in radio. And now here I am. I've been doing, hosting a number of shows on 95.9, and I'm on 95.9 because of the creative opportunities I get to have. I get to have my own show, do what I want on that show. And for me, what is important is supporting local artists, up-and-coming artists because they don't get enough support in radio.
Oh, yes.
And I said, so first and foremost, that's what I want to do. Second of all, small businesses. It's a struggle to be heard, be seen, get your voice, get your name out there. So I'm like, small businesses, let's have a small business spotlight on the show as well. So once a week, I've connected with Indira with Love Your Local, and we have 2 small businesses in every week, and we talk about their business, their stories, their goals, their struggles. What can we do as a community to help support them? Nonprofits became another spotlight. Let's talk about supporting nonprofits. How can we give them a platform and a voice so that they can continue doing what they're doing, serving the community and helping those in need? I can help them by giving them a platform to have a voice. So I've connected with Skylar of Thunder Coffee, and once a week he comes in and he brings in a nonprofit, and we talk about that nonprofit and what can we do to help support you? What can people do to give back? What is your story? And so here I am. I get to use a platform now. So blessed to be able to do this, but I get to support up-and-coming artists, local artists, small businesses, nonprofits, people with stories. And man, I go to bed every night feeling so fulfilled, knowing that not only do I get to do something I love, but I get to help others. And so I truly am probably in the happiest place in my career that I've ever been. You wouldn't think it on a community radio station, but I truly am. I love what I get to do, and I feel like I'm getting to do things for others. I am finally fulfilled with what I'm doing in my career and everything I've been through leading up to this point. So, great place to be.
Man.
Yeah.
Because this is a killer story. And just how you ended up and just what you're talking about, what you're doing nowadays is basically, I can see how that developed you in the very early years,
right?
Because that's probably just what you wanted to do in the first place.
Yeah.
Just help out everyone else around you. And then that just kind of spiraled you up the ranks.
And there's so many behind the scenes things that need to be done just before your guest even comes on the show.
Oh yeah.
How are you paying for the show? How are you promoting the show? How are you promoting your guests? How are you telling their story? A lot of times these guests come in, as you know, by doing this podcast. Some of them going, I don't know what you want me to talk about. I'm nervous. I've never done this before.
Yep.
It is up to you and I to help them tell their story. It is up to you and I to get people enthusiastic about what they're doing, get inspired by their story, and help them feel like there is hope in what they're doing and in the future of what they're doing. A lot of that relies on what you're doing in interviewing and providing that platform. So there's a lot of work that goes into it, but man, I love doing that. I'm having such a blast.
Oh yeah, everyone's got a story, and everyone's story is just fascinating to me. I don't know.
Absolutely.
Just, people are fascinating.
Yeah, and we've all got something, and
exactly.
It's just truly wonderful to hear everybody's story. I mean, you wouldn't think of it like, man, I didn't know that about you. I know you did, like, say, Thunder Coffee. I knew that this was, what you do here in town, but what it took for you to get there, man, amazing. Just wonderful.
Huge background.
Yeah.
I gotta save. Let's see. I gotta get to the weekly report here, but I gotta ask you a question.
Yeah.
It's moving on into the future. I'm just gonna let you think about this.
Yeah.
Just like, where do you see, not yourself, but where do you see how you want to develop your idea that you're trying to help out the community? Where do you want to see yourself, or do you want to see another organization come out of that? I don't know. I'm just gonna let you think about that for a few seconds, and I'm gonna get to the weekly report. So, Cena, we miss you, man. All right, we're going uptown right away at the Windbreak. Got Slamabama hitting the stage tomorrow night with Rock Revival on Friday, and then Drive hitting the stage Saturday, hanging out with Butter out there at the Windbreak, and then Shooting Star Casino, DJ and the Atomics Friday and Saturday night in Blue Stem Amphitheater. Lindsey Sterling, Walk Off the Earth, happening probably right now, and I think that's like a fiddle player. Is that what I saw?
Have you seen, like her on YouTube?
No.
She does acrobatics and plays fiddle and violin and doesn't skip a beat. She's tremendous.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because I know my guitar player from Uptown, Peter, Lord Wilbur, he wanted to go out and see that, but it didn't quite work out. Now we have a rehearsal tonight after this.
Oh, sure.
Downtown Acoustic Corner Wednesday happening right now. We got Eric Levitt at Murphy's Pub, just a few blocks from here, and then Eric Rattan at Sicky's Garage. And tomorrow we got Warren Christensen at Camp Lone Tree on the roof. And then we got Matthew Downer at the Spicy Pie in West Fargo, Sean Mitzel at the Silver Spike, and Ava Hansen at Sweet Shots, Rachel Myers at Fargo Brewing Company, and Mike Morris at the Hooligans, Doug Thompson at Traditions, and Jim White at Pub West. A lot of acoustic happening tomorrow. And then Friday, nothing. And then Saturday we have Brady Robertson, Karabi Soup over at the Murphy's Pub once again. And we're going downtown, open mic nights with Travis Neros next Monday, the 28th. And then Cellar, we got open mic night right now with Markway Belcher happening, right now at the Cellar. Sure. So if you're looking to tighten up those nice 2 minutes of stand-up, this is probably the place to be. We have David Harris and Ben Marcotti. Is that what we're going to say it? Well, that's how I'm going to say it. On Friday and Saturday, the 25th and 26th. At Side Street, we got Jazz Night next Monday, the 28th at Tailgaters, 3rd Street Blues Band happening tomorrow night. I think that's the end of their summer patio session.
Wow.
Not patio, but summer session. So that's going to be happening next. And Cowboy Jack's Jay Stevenson hosting the open mic there on Sunday, the 27th. And then we're going downtown some more. We got open mic night with Gina Powers tomorrow night. And then Special Blend Band's going to be out there on Friday, the 25th. And we at the Aquarium, we got Knox Dapkula. Nova Kula?
Oh, right. Okay. I didn't even know what you were talking about until you were saying that. I'm like, Nox Novacula.
Novacula. Okay.
Yeah, that's actually
Thank you. That's why we have your vote.
That's a radio-free Fargo benefit show.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. So, proceeds are going to the bands on the show, and then, of course, coming back to your community radio station as well. Nox Novacula. Absolutely.
Nox Novacula.
Yeah. I was going to say Kazootai. I wasn't know where you were going with this, but I'm like, wait a minute. I think I did the same thing trying to say that band's name until somebody told me the right way to say it. Yeah.
I slaughter so many band names, but they tell me about it, which is fun. Then we got Zero Place. I got their album upstairs, and Germ Circus on Thursday, 24th. Alibi Lounge, open mic night on Thursday, tomorrow night. And then we got Barney Stone, Tailspins out there on Thursday, and Dan Christensen on Sunday, the 27th. Then we got Troll Lounge, Tuckered Out, Thursday. We got Todd Sisson on Friday, and then Owen Peel. I'm going to go with that on Saturday the 26th. I'm having real struggles today with the names. And then Fargo Brewing Company, we have Lee Harden with Paula Kowinski and Don Narum on the 24th. Wow, I really walked over that. Tanner, Lindsay, and D. White on Friday. We got Jessica Vines and Taylor Saxon on Saturday. And then Alter Bridge, Selvin Dust, MJT, and Pawns and Kings on Monday the 29th out there at the Brewing Company. So that'd be a great show to check out.
Big 7 Dust game.
And then we're out of town at the we got Edema and Smile Empty Souls on next Tuesday the 29th. At the Laughing Sun Brewing Company in the Bismarck Mandan area, our favorite brewing company in the Bismarck Mandan area. Never been there.
Oh, sure.
Kaylee Matthews on Thursday. We got Roots Within on Friday. Overeducated on Saturday 26th. And Bizman Little Big Band on Monday. And then MC Bailey on Tuesday. Lots of stuff happening out there. It's awesome. And then we got Zorbas in Detroit Lakes. We got Pirates Guitars at Beachfront Bars happening on Saturday. I haven't heard of those, but
right.
I bet it's going to be a good time.
Oh, heck yeah.
And then we got Jamestown University back at your hometown. That Uptown band's going to be out there.
Oh, I heard a lot about those
on Saturday.
Costume changes and choreography. Don't miss them.
At least.
Yeah.
And that's all we got for you. So let's get back to Travis here.
A lot of great shows, man. Do you take time researching where all these bands are going to be at and what they're doing? And,
it's the longest part of my prep job here.
Yeah. That's a great list of bands. A lot of familiar acts as well. A lot of talent out there. It's so good to see the communities supporting artists. Love that.
And that's what we're trying to do here.
Yeah, absolutely. Great.
Because the crowds are big for them, they're going to be big for us, maybe.
Right.
Yeah, something like that. That's the idea, at least. So let's get back to you in this fancy question.
Yeah.
Where do you want to see this? Where do you want this to build into?
Right. Well, you know what? I'm going to say
What's your end game?
I would say in a perfect world, I would love to be syndicated. Now, I've had offers about syndication.
Okay.
But with that, here's where where you stop in your tracks.
Yep.
A lot of people go, okay, so we want you to maybe stop doing this, and then maybe stop doing that. Love what you're doing, and that's why we're here. But before we do those things, we're going to stop you right here, and let's maybe change this, maybe let's change that, and let's change that. And then going, you're taking the entire thought process away. If you're just looking for a guy to be a personality and a voice and come in and just be on your station, that is not who I want to be. I want to stay true to what I'm doing as much as I possibly can. I know that as opportunities come, you might have to tweak some things. You might have to adjust some things. But I don't want it to be something where I have to completely take everything and just throw it away. I want to be able to go, you all got me here. I'm here on your podcast because you've supported me and what I do in radio. I want to bring you all with me. I want to bring local artists with me. I want you to hear some of these local artists, and I want to play them on my show. I want you to hear some of this indie talent that's out there. You've heard them on my show. I want to continue shining the spotlight. We've already got enough of the big commercial acts. There's enough people doing that. Let's do something for local artists, indie artists. Continue telling stories. Don't get me wrong. I love being entertaining. Love having fun. In fact, Fridays, for the last 2 to 3 months now, I have a show called The Noon Hour Morning Show. It's noon to 2. The Noon Hour Morning Show. Why would you do a morning show at noon? Because I'm too damn lazy to get up that early. So you're getting it at noon. But I work with Alicia from the Moorhead Business Association, and one of the very first things we did is I handcuffed her to the Moorhead mayor for the interview. And I go, what better way to get up close and personal and get to know your first interview guest than handcuffing you? And it was the Moorhead mayor. But she was game for it. And those are the things that are fun, and those are the things that people tune in for. I have her doing push-up contests against the general manager of Crunch Fitness. I mean, those are the type of things you want to be entertaining. You want to help tell the story.
Exactly.
And you want to be informative, but at the same time, you want to have some fun. And you want to talk about trending topics then and things locally and have some fun with people in studio. I mean, we had some of the girls from the Renaissance Fair. They were in studio and we're cracking jokes. It is such a fun show. But I want to be able to do that on a larger level because I want to give back more. Truly. It's not about my bank account. It's not about seeing my face on a magazine or on a website or trending on social media. I truly want to grow the platform because I truly want to be able to do more for others. Do more for the Fargo-Moorhead community that's done so much for me. I want to be able to now bring in, possible money that's going to help these nonprofits. Helping nonprofits get more connected to businesses and being a part of the journey together so that they can all thrive, help give back. I think we can all do more to help give back and use what our platforms are, what our skills are, what our talents are. I think we can all do something to give back at the same time that we're doing something we love. And that's truly where I want to go, is to be able to grow this platform so that I can do more for others. And that love has come from one of my biggest supporters, and that is Fix It Forward. Now, in the mornings, I'm so blessed. I get to do radio shows, but in the afternoons, I'm the outreach coordinator for Fix It Forward Ministry. And giving back, not only in radio, but giving back through a local nonprofit, I get to give back all day long in what I'm doing. And man, I go to bed every night feeling good and just, again, in a place of I am truly fulfilled in what I'm doing in my career, because all of it in some way is giving back, whether I'm telling your story, shining a light on your business, your nonprofit, your new music, giving you some entertainment, some fun, all those different things, interviews with guests that you never get to hear on the radio. We're lacking interviews in radio in Fargo. There's all these wonderful personalities and big stations, but a lot of them don't interview the guests. I mean, Megadeth is coming. I want to hear an interview with Dave Mustaine.
Oh, man.
Nobody's going to do that.
Sweet.
Seven Dust is coming to town. I want to hear an interview with Seven Dust. We don't do those things here. And so I'm trying to do that, but not always just the big names.
Yeah.
Everybody else. I mean, the Renaissance Fair is in town. This comedian's in town. This person's going to be speaking at this engagement. I want to talk to them, too. I want to hear their story. I think interviews and getting to know people's story is a big component that's missing from radio. It's the connection, and that's what I want to provide.
Precisely.
Yes, I want to provide the connection. So let's grow that platform so we can help give back and make radio personal again. Get up close and personal with your favorite artists and the guests that are on your show, just like a podcast, except on radio.
Exactly.
And cool music.
Man, we need more people like you. Using your talents, and you're really trying to help out with everyone else, and it works. It really does.
I appreciate that, brother.
So, no, utmost respect for you, Travis. But we need to get to a little juvenile destruction here. So,
okay.
We'll have to get to this just here in a moment. And I'll probably have to explain myself here, but this is this week's Off the Roof. This is what happens when you give a board drummer a bunch of GoPros.
Oh, got it. The anticipation is building. I'm already excited.
That was it.
What is it that you're dropping?
You'll see in just a moment.
Oh.
An easy bake oven.
I love how you set the wife up there. You're like, you're all right getting up there, you're going up there.
I had to film from below.
Was that your dog?
Yep.
That was your dog making that noise?
Oh, not really.
Oh,
because
I know you.
That's just sound effects. That's what happens again. To get iMovie going, I basically tapped that thing out, so I'm on to a new one now.
All right. So tell me what the story is behind dropping an easy bake oven off the roof is. What were you trying
I'm glad you asked that, because I grew up in this house. I bought it for my dad a million years ago.
Oh, cool.
And of course, at some point, in your early 20s, you get the raging parties going on and everything else. And inevitably, someone would get on the roof and start throwing random electronics off just to watch it explode on the driveway. That's what we did in the 90s. That was entertainment. So I'm just keeping the tradition alive by doing that. Now, granted, these are all recycled just because I finally got my driveway back in order again, finally. It took a long, long time.
Are easy bake ovens still a thing? I mean, can you get those at the store still?
I found that one at the bins when they used to have a bins in Fargo, and it went away. That made me sad because you used to go there, you just buy junk by the pound, and then we just destroy it.
And could you cook real food in those things?
How did they work? I think it had just a light bulb inside.
Okay.
And that was your heat source.
I was going to say, I might need one for the radio studio.
The easy bake oven?
Yeah, Trav gets hungry sometimes, man. I'm thinking
they might have to hook you up.
Pop some food in the easy bake oven, but, I need to know.
Freshly thrown off the roof.
Yeah, it might be one of those things, though, that I'm going to have to, start it right as I go on air, and maybe it'll be done by the time I get off air.
Yeah, get that brownie. Oh, yeah.
I'm into it. I like brownies.
That's awesome. All right, we got to start wrapping this thing up here. Can you believe we've been going for almost an hour?
I talk, man.
It's awesome.
I tell you,
you're so easy.
Thank you. I've heard that too.
Yes.
I've heard I'm easy as well. That's how I met my wife, and thank goodness she stuck around. No, it's been a blast, man. I always have so much fun getting to again talk to so many wonderful guests, share their story, but there's not a lot of opportunities that you get to share your own.
Exactly.
So I am truly honored and blessed that you asked me to be here and share a little bit of the craziness that I've lived getting to this point.
It's a crazy story. I'm so happy that you came on. This is
so many
very
stories.
Good.
That's just typical.
Now you're documented and you'll be internet famous for about a week.
Fantastic. This is a bit of I really dig this room, by the way. I mean, the number of Simpsons memorabilia that you have here is just outstanding. I'm a little jealous of the Duff glasses over there. Do you actually have a favorite piece of memorabilia? Like the house is on fire. You can grab one piece to save. What piece is that going to be in here?
It's right behind you, the AT-AT in the box.
Ooh,
so
absolutely.
Yep, it's complete in there. It was one of the first things I bought off eBay back in the Wild West.
In the Wild West. I have an intern, and I always feel so bad because I'm like, I was born in the 1900s. It feels so weird saying that you were born in the 1900s. I was only 23 plus years ago. But still, just saying you were born in the 1900s just makes you feel like a dinosaur.
Yep. Me, when I'm teaching nowadays, most of the kids are, they're born in 2006, 7, and you're like, what?
And then you have the conversation of, who did you listen to when you grew up to? Oh, my dad, really liked the classic rock.
That's it, exactly.
Like who, And they'll be like, Nickelback and Three Doors Down. Like, that's classic rock? Oh, my God, kid. You don't even know. Oh, that makes me feel so old.
This is the weirdest part is that I used to teach up at the IMC, the International Music Camp, and I get to do their garage band week every once in a while, and all the kids would come in, they'd all ask to do 90s and 80s music, maybe some 70s. They never asked to do anything that's modern.
Yeah.
It's always all the old stuff.
That's good parenting, though. The
parent
raised them on the good stuff. Raised them on the good stuff. I feel like in the 2000s, we were starting to lose grip on good music. I don't know. And I'm having a hard time really getting a grip on some of the stuff I'm listening to these days, too. So I just took a selfie of you.
Very good.
I'm going to post that on social media. This is fantastic. Is that an actual, like, Macintosh from back in the day?
Apple IIe.
Wow.
And it works. You can play Oregon Trail on it right now if you want to.
I could just sit and look around this room and go, look at that, look at that, look at that. This is so cool in here.
It used to be my 80s room and then turned to the studio.
Is there any, like, fun stories about this couch? It is so comfortable. I feel like if I leaned over and rested my eyes, I'd never leave.
Do you know Jay Stevenson?
Sure.
Yep, that's his couch.
No kidding.
Yep, he used to live here.
Oh, wow.
And he left that, and we definitely repurposed it multiple times.
Well, thank goodness he did that, because it is comfy.
Yes.
It feels good to take a load off on this
and
couch.
thank you again, Jay. I got to bring you back on.
This is fantastic. I got a lot of cool stuff in here. I'll have to come back sometime, and we'll just have to do, like, a game of Battle of the Sexes Simpsons or something.
There we go. Yeah. Exactly. All right. So you got anything left for the good of the order?
I tell you what, thank you again, man. Get out there, see Uptown, check out the podcast. You're doing fun stuff. I got a little business proposition for you that I want to talk about when we're done here, because we need to lift up this wonderful podcast you're doing and spread the word. So I got a little business proposition for you when we're done. But listen to this side of country, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Monday through Friday on 95.9. Midwest Country, New Indie Country, celebrating the legends as well. And then every Friday, tune into the noon hour morning show with myself and Alicia. It's just like a morning show. All the fun, all the chaos, except at noon. You can sleep in. You can sleep in.
At noon. Yes. All right. You can find us from the Tiki Tacs all the way up the Instagrams on Uptown Tonight Podcast or at uptownbandfargo.com. You can find everything about the band and or the podcast, whatever you really feel like doing that day. So you got to remember, Travis, if your drummer's got more charisma than your front man, band may be in trouble.
Right. That's a good point.
That's why my band's doing just fine. So until next time.